well, and with your blessings, we are doing well.
You always do well and will be doing well. All the best.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Keep on doing.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Kindly mute your speakers. Yes, thank you. So, welcome you all again in the third technical session of online faculty development program on advanced mathematical techniques in engineering and technology. So, in this technical session, we have with us Professor C.B. Gupta from the North Cap University, Gurugram, Haryana. Professor C.B. Gupta, he is Professor of Mathematics, Director IQAC and Chairman NEC in the North Cap University, Gurugram. Prior to this, Professor Gupta was working as a professor in Department of Mathematics and Computer Science and Engineering, the LNMIIT, Jaipur, and also in the Department of Mathematics, BETS Pilani, for about 30 years. Having a very rich experience of more than 32 years in teaching and research, Professor Gupta obtained his master's degree in mathematical statistics and PhD in operation research from Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra. His field of specialization include applied statistics, optimization, and operation research. On these topics, he has published and presented more than 80 research articles in peer-reviewed national, international journals and national and international conferences. A number of students have submitted their thesis and dissertation on this topic under his supervision. He has authored 4 book chapters and also has 18 books in his credit on the various topics, which include probability and statistics, quantitative methods and optimization in operation research, advanced discrete mathematics, engineering mathematics, advanced mathematics, etc. Apart from these, Dr. Gupta has been chief editor for the proceeding of first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth international conference on operation research and statistics being held in April 2011 in Malaysia, 2012 in Indonesia, 2013, 16, 17, and 18 in Singapore respectively. He is also on the editorial board and reviewer of a number of national and international journals. He was also awarded Best Paper Award at the annual conference of National Academy of Science, India, held at Kolkata University, Kolkata, from 15 to 17 December 2009. He reminded President of Rajasthan Ganit Parishad, a recipient of Shiksha Ratan Puraskar in 2011, Best Citizens of India Award 2011, listed in Marcus, who is in science and technology in the world December 2010, 2013, 2016, and 2018. Listed in top 100 scientists of world in 2012. Glory of India Award in 2013. Best Personality of India Award in 2016 and AIAP Excellence Award in 2018 in appreciation and recognition of continued dedication in the area of inventory and supply chain management and Best Professor in Mathematics Studies. He has participated in more than 75 national and international conferences in which he has delivered invited talks and chaired technical sessions. He has also delivered expert talks on the various topics related to mathematics, statistics, and operation research in India and abroad. Professor Gupta has been member of Rajasthan Board of School Education and also member of various committees of RPSC Ajmer, UPSC New Delhi, and AICTE New Delhi. So with all these feathers in his cap, Professor Gupta, he is a renowned mathematician, and now today he is going to share his expertise on the topic of applications of transportation problems. So on behalf of all the organizing team members, I am welcome you, sir, on this platform, and I hope your session will be going to be very fruitful for our participants. So with all these words, welcome you on the platform, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ekta. Am I audible?
Sir?
Am I audible? Dr. Ekta, am I audible?
Sir, audible?
Yes, sir.
Professor Rajiv,
I
am I
welcome you on the board.
Yes, sir. You are audible now.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, thank you, Ekta, for nice introduction. In fact, I'm not that great. I'm a very simple mathematics student who keep on learning every day from students and you young people who does in your life. Prior to my lecture, I just was there for few minutes when Professor Renu Chog introduced a topic and where she started from chaotic model to fuzzy model and all these things and they converted everything in mathematical model randomly and non-randomly. So whatever we talk in mathematics, either it is a random model or non-random model, stochastic model or non-stochastic model or probabilistic model or non-probabilistic model, whatever it is. Diverting from that topic, I think I will move to the deterministic mathematical model, which is one of the most important model when we talk about some people call it as operations research or some people call it as optimization technique. As all of us are aware that this operation research came into existence during World War II. And after that, this is playing a vital role in the decision analysis. There is not even a single place where we cannot use this operations research. You might have heard that a lot of topic we do at our BTech level, MSc level, PhD level, etc., such as linear programming, non-linear programming, dynamic programming, reliability theory, inventory control, etc., etc. And today I will be talking about a special kind of linear programming problem. What we name it as transportation problem. Can you give me the link, Ekta, where I can share my slides?
Yes, sir. Sir, you can see the share option on your screen.
Yeah, but it is coming, this meeting type requires that you become the presenter before sharing content.
Okay, wait, sir. Wait.
Please.
Now you can
No.
share, sir.
Yeah, now I can share.
Okay, sir.
One minute. Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It is
sir,
visible.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir.
So, as I was talking that I will be taking one of the topics from Operation Search, that is transportation problem and its application. As all of us are knowing that transportation problem plays a vital role in our day-to-day life. You take anything, any place where transportation problem will be used. For example, nowadays, the paddy crop is coming to the various mandis of Haryana. And from there, the government will shift that purchased paddy crop to the various FCI godowns. So it talks about that how much total paddy is available with them, how much godowns are available, where this paddy can be stored, and whenever it is needed, can be used. Similarly, any other thing which can be transported from the different places to the various destination, but keeping in mind, or you can say, The objective is to minimize the transportation or shipping cost. I tell you, when we talk about operation search, there are two basic kind of problems we talk. One is constraint and non-constraint. But in both the kinds of problem, there is an objective function, which is either to be maximized or to be minimized, depending on the situation. So transportation problem is a special kind of linear programming problem, which is constraint optimization problem, which contains a objective function and constraint.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Sir, your presentation is not moving.
I have not yet started my presentation.
It's on the first page only.
Yeah, I have not yet
Okay.
started presentation.
Fine, sir,
It's a
fine.
background only.
Okay, sir.
I have not yet started. Okay, thank you. Let me move my slide. So the lecture is divided into three basic parts. First, I will define what is transportation problem. Then I will talk about types of transportation problem and then how to find the solution of transportation problem. In fact, the solution of transportation problem we find out in two stages. In first stage, we find out the initial basic feasible solution, what we call, and in second stage, we talk about optimal solution. I don't know means up to what I will be able to cover the solution part, but certainly I would like to finish the initial basic feasible solution of the transportation problem. So let me start what is a transportation problem. So basically, a transportation problem is nothing. This aims to find out the best way to fulfill the demand of n different demand points using the capacities of m supply points. Suppose, as I mentioned, there are 10 mandis in, let us say, district Rohtak, where the paddy crop is being sold and the government is purchasing, and from these 10 mandis, let us say there are 6 FCI godowns where we have to store this total paddy which is being purchased by the government. So the objective is, or the aim is, how we can transport this available paddy crop to the different godowns so that the total transportation cost is minimum. And as you are aware that the capacity of all the supply points may not be equal, it will be different at different supply points. Similarly, the demand also at different demand points will be different of each other. So, while trying to find the best way, a variable cost of shipping the product from one supply point to a demand point or a similar constraint should be taken into consideration. As I mentioned in the beginning, the transportation model is nothing, it's a special kind of linear programming problem, and it deals with transporting, or you can say the shipping, a commodity from the various sources to various destinations, and the sources could be factories, could be warehouses, could be it could be distributors, it could be local shops and different vendors, or you can say the customers. And the objective is to determine the shipping schedule that minimize the total shipping cost, satisfying all the supply and demand limits. And the shipping cost is proportional to the number of units shipped on a given route. So because from the different sources to the different destination, the shipping cost per unit will be different from each other. So let us say there are m sources, 1 to m we can call it as, and n destination which we can number from 1 to n. And the cost of shipping 1 unit from source I goes from 1 to m, and to destination j which goes from 1 to n is CIC. The total availability at ith source is, let us say, AI, and the demand at the destination j is BC. And the amount, let us denote it by xj, which is to be shipped from source I to destination j. So this was, you can say, the definition of transportation problem. And the transportation problem basically is of two types. One is balanced transportation problem. The meaning of balanced transportation problem is when the total supply is equal to the total demand. Suppose the requirement at different destination is of a particular commodity, let us say 100 tons, and the availability also at various sources, if it is 100 ton, then we will say that this kind of problem is a balanced problem. Otherwise, we'll call it as unbalanced problem. But I tell you, before I go to solve this kind of problem, that till now there is no method available where a unbalanced problem can be solved. So before solving, we have to make an unbalanced problem the balanced one and then solve it. So you see, the total availability means sum of AI should be equal to the sum of BC. Another kind, as I told you, unbalanced transportation problem. And another thing, that unbalanced problem could also be further subdivided. Means one is when total supply does not equal to the total demand, you can say. One could be the total supply is more than the total demand, or the second could be the total demand is more than total supply. So both the cases has to be dealt differently. So let us see. If total supply does not equal to the total demand, the problem is said to be an unbalanced transportation problem. And before finding the solution of the problem, we should always balance the transportation problem and then solve it. Another kind of thing, when total or supply exceeds, means summation of AI bigger than summation of BC, then what we can say, we can introduce a dummy demand point, and the demand at this dummy demand point will be the difference of summation AI minus BC. And the shipping cost, as it's a dummy demand point, will be 0, because the shipments to this dummy demand point is not real. So we'll see, we'll allocate the cost of 1 unit from this any of the sources to the dummy demand point equal to 0. Another, when supply is less than the total demand. So if a transportation problem has a total supply which is less than the total demand, then you can say the problem has no feasible solution. Because, can you tell me why? Why it will not have a feasible solution? See, when demand is more and supply is less, we cannot have a feasible solution. The reason is that at one or more cases, we cannot satisfy the demand at demand point. So the demand at one or more points will be left unmet. And in such cases, always a penalty cost is associated with unmet demand, and as one can guess, this time the total penalty cost is desired to be minimum. So we have to schedule our total transportation schedule in such a way that this penalty cost is as minimum as possible. If some of you are aware, the linear programming problem. Does this problem look like a linear programming problem or differently? Anybody? Does it look like a linear programming problem? If you see, the first one is an objective function, z, which is to be minimized. Because in any linear programming problem, there are three things. If you basically see, one is constraint, another is objective function, and third one is non-negativity restriction. And all should be linear in nature. So if you see the first equation, minimize z is equal to summation of Cij xij. Cij denote the 1 unit cost which is to be transported from the supply point I to the demand point j. Xij is the number of units. So this total quantity is to be minimized. The product of the cost and the total quantity subject to Xij summation j goes from 1 to n, which comes out to be equal to the availability at I at supply point, and the second constraint comes out to be summation xij, I goes from 1 to m, which is the demand at the jth demand point. And xij bigger than or equal to 0, what we call it as the non-negativity restriction. So all three conditions which are required for a linear programming problem are satisfied. So we say that a transportation problem can be viewed as a special kind of linear programming problem. Now the question arises, when it's a linear programming problem, why it cannot be solved by various algorithms which we use to find out the solution of a linear programming problem. As you must be aware that a linear programming problem can be solved by graphical method if it involves only two decision variables, and if there are more than two, 3 or more, then we use algebraical method using the concept of the simplex method. Simplex method can further be categorized as simple simplex method and then artificial variable technique. I am not going into detail. But the thing is, the transportation problem is a special kind of LPP where we cannot use this technique because a transportation problem is represented in tabular form. And that's why when we solve a transportation problem, we find out its solution in 2 stages. As I mentioned in the beginning, in stage 1, we solve it by 3 different methods to find out the initial basic feasible solution and then optimal solution. So when there are m supply points and n demand points, so the total number of decision variable xij will be m into n, and the total constraint, there will be m rows and n columns. So the total number of constraint will be the sum of that, m plus n, and the sum of the first m constraints will be equals the sum of the last n constraints. That's why we call it as the balanced one. And in this case, one of the constraint is redundant, and we can show that the other m plus n minus 1 constraints are linearly independent. So when we solve any transportation problem, this will never have m plus n non-zero variables. It will always have m plus n minus 1 non-zero variables. So it means, suppose there are 4 supply points and 5 demand points. The total number of decision variables will be 4 into 5, that is 20. And the constraint will be 9, 4 plus 5. But the total number of linearly independent constraints will be 4 plus 5 minus 1, that is 8. And I will show you in the next slide that how we can represent a transportation problem into tabular form, and out of those boxes, the allocation will be done only in m plus n minus 1 boxes. So we can solve it by simplex method, but it will be little tedious. So we use it by spatial algorithm, what we call it as the transportation algorithm. And the data of transportation model is presented in the following m by n table. You see, along rows there are m sources, 1 to m. Along columns there are n destinations, 1 to n. The last column shows A1, A2, AM means A1 means this is the number of units available at source 1. A2 represents the number of units available at source 2, and similarly AM means the number of units available at mth source. Similarly, if you see the last row, which gives B1, B2, Bn. P1 is the total number of units required at destination 1. B2 shows the total demand at destination or demand point 2, and Bn is the total demand at nth destination. If you come the first row where C11 means, this shows the shipping cost or the transportation cost of 1 unit from source 1 to destination 1. Similarly, C12 is the cost of shipment of 1 unit from source 1 to source 2, and so on. And C1n represents the shipping cost of 1 unit from source 1 to the demand point. Similarly, we can explain for the source 2 to M. For example, C21 represents the cost of transporting 1 unit from source 2 to destination 1. C22, the 1 unit cost transportation from source 2 to destination 2, and so on. CM1 similarly represents the shipping cost of 1 unit from mth source to destination 1. CM2 similarly for destination 2 from source M, and CMN is the cost of 1 unit transportation from mth source to nth destination. So always you are given 3 things basically. One is the availability A1, A2, AM at each source, demand B1, B2, Bn at each destination, and CIG, the per unit cost of transportation of 1 unit goods from ith source to jth destination. If you see here, there are totally m into n boxes, but the allocation will be made only in m plus n minus 1 boxes. There could be possibility that still we can have less than m plus n minus 1 allocation. In such case, we say that the solution of this particular transportation problem will be degenerating. Must be knowing degenerate optimal solution and optimization we call that if a basic variable has value 0. So how we can give a general description of transportation problem? Though we have already discussed everything, but quickly a set of M supply points from which a good is shipped. Supply point I can supply at most AI units. Similarly, a set of N demand points to which the good is shipped. Demand point J must receive at least BI units of the shipped goods, and each unit produced at supply point I and shipped to demand point J incurs a variable cost of CIJ. How we can find out? Solution of a transportation problem. As I told you in the beginning, that we can find out the solution of transportation problem in two stages. One is to find the starting basic feasible solution and then iteratively move towards the optimal solution, which has the least shipping cost. Again, to find out the starting basic feasible solution, there are three methods available, which I will be described one by one. And any basic feasible when we use can be used to find out the optimal solution by basically there are two methods. One is stepping stone and another is Modi method, which today I may not able to discuss, but certainly I'll be talking about the starting basic feasible solution. And as I mentioned, any basic feasible solution will have only m plus n minus 1 basic variables. And when we talk about m plus n minus 1 basic variables, we assume that all of them are non-zero. And when we say non-zero, we don't consider the negative values, because as you are seeing in our non-negativity restriction, xij bigger than equal to 0. So all the values of decision variables xij has to be either 0 or positive. So that condition is already ruled out in mathematical modeling itself, that it can take negative value. So when we talk about the basic feasible solution, we assume that all are non-zero, means they are the positive. And all the remaining variables, what we call them as non-basic variables, they will have value 0. And when we find out solution of a transportation problem, in table, we always indicate only the basic variables and the cells corresponding to the non-basic variables always kept empty. No allocation is being made in the non-basic variable cell. As I mentioned, if there are less than m plus n minus 1 allocations, it means some of the cells can have a value 0, and we'll say this basic feasible solution is a degenerate kind of basic solution. So whenever we see in solution a 0 mentioned in a cell corresponding to a basic variable, then in our simplex language, we'll say this is a degenerate basic feasible solution. As I mentioned, that there are three methods to find out the basic feasible solution for a balanced transportation problem. In the beginning, I mentioned that we cannot solve an unbalanced transportation problem. First, we have to convert into balanced one and then solve. For example, let me see whether I can. Is this board visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. Let me consider let us consider an unbalanced transportation problem like this. Let us see. It is 4 by 4. I say suppose this is availability 20, 10, 10, 20, and this is 15, 5, 10 and 20. Even if I don't mention any that this is source 1, 2, 3, 4, then also it represents and destination. Suppose 1, 2, 3 and 4, and I say let us say this is course 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 4, 5. So can you tell me what is the total availability here? This is equal to 20 plus 10 plus 10 plus 20, that is 60. And the total demand, that is equal to 15 plus 5 plus 10 plus 20. This is 50. So summation AI, this is bigger than summation BC. So what we can do? We can introduce here a dummy, what you can say the dummy destination. The cost will be 0, 0, 0 and 0 with the remaining 10 units. And now it has become balanced problem and we can solve. Similarly, if suppose demand is more than availability, we can introduce a dummy source with the difference of total demand minus the total availability with the cost 0 if a penalty is not given. If penalty is not given, then we can put that value of penalty. Is that clear? So first of all, when we find out or when we are interested to find out the solution of a transportation problem, first of all, make it balance and then move it. So there are three basic methods for it. One is northwest corner method. Second is minimum cost method, MCM, or some people call it as least cost method, LCM. And the Vogel's approximation method, WAM, people call it as. So I will discuss these three one by one. So let us take first the northwest corner method. As the name shows, find out the starting basic feasible solution by northwest corner method, we start from the north coast corner cell, that is the 1 1. 1 1 means the cell made of the first source to first destination. The very first means the first left corner cell. And we locate as much as possible to this 1 1 cell. As much as possible, the maximum value whatever we can do, and that will be the minimum of A1 and B1, because we cannot do it by maximum of A1 B1, but minimum of A1 B1 we can allocate in this cell. And by doing this, either the row will be satisfied, means either the availability at first source will be exhausted, or the column will be satisfied, means the demand will be fulfilled. And by doing so, we can adjust the associated amounts of supply and demand by subtracting the allocating amount. This is step 1. After doing this, we can cross out the either row or column which is fully exhausted, or you can say with zero supply or zero demand, to indicate that no further assignments can be made to that particular row or column. But many a times what happens, if both a row and column are satisfied simultaneously, and then if exactly one row or column is left uncrossed, make the obvious allocation and stop. Otherwise, you cross out only one, either row or column, and leave a zero supply or demand in the uncrossed out row and column. And this will be the case of degeneration. And if no further allocation is to be made, stop. Else move to the cells to the right if a column has just been crossed out, or the cell below if a row has just been crossed out, to settle either the row availability or the column demand. And then go to step 1 and continue till the entire supply and demand is exhausted. Let us take one example and show you. In this example, I have not put up the cost. If you want, we can take cost also. We can take any C11 value, C12, C13, C14. So if you see, there are 3 sources, 1, 2, 3, and 4 destination. The availability at source 1 is 5, at 2 it is 6, and 3 it is 2. So the total availability comes out to be 13. Similarly, the demand at destination 1 is 3, at second it is 5, third it is 2, and 3 on 4. So the total demand is also 13. So it's a balanced one. So we make allocation. So as per the previous slides, we can start from X11. You can say the first column, first cell. So how much maximum we can allocate here? Anybody? The demand is 3 and availability is 5. What will be the right choice? This is demand is 3. Demand is 3. And availability is 5. So it will be minimum of 3 and 5. So here in cell 1, we can allocate only 3 units, and by doing so, the first column will get satisfied, but still there will be availability of 2 units at source 1. So the next table will become 3 here in the first cell. So this, you see, this is cross. Availability has become 2, 6 and 2. So then from here, we can move from 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, because still there are 2 available. So how much I can allocate in this cell? Minimum of 2 and 5. So 2 here. So by doing so, this first row is satisfied, but the demand is still at second destination is 3. So then we will not move towards right, but now we will move to the downwards like this. So now this is satisfied. So from here I will come here. It will be minimum of 3. So what it will be? I can put it here 3, and then 3 remains here. But I move from this to this. So minimum of 2 and 3. So it will be 2 here, is still 1 here. So 1 here, minimum of 1 and 3, it is 1, and then 2 here. So the total solutions comes out in the next like this. 3, 2, 3, 2, 1, and then I told in 1, so it is, this is the solution. And the total shipping cost, we can multiply it, whatever cost is given. Suppose I say it is 2 here, it is 3 here. You multiply 3 into 2, 2 into 3, 3 into 1, whatever cost, and 2 into 4, or 1 into 5, or 2 into 2. So this will be the starting basic feasible solution of this transportation problem by northwest corner method. And we write it like that: x11 is 3, x12 is 2, x22 is 3, and x23 is 2, and x24 is 1, and x34 is 2. So how many total allocation is there? How many total allocation is there? It is 6. Because there were 3 supply point, 4 destination. So 3 plus 4, 7. So total allocation has to be m plus n minus 1. So 3 plus 4 minus 1, that is 6. So this is one of the method. Another comes out to be least cost method, or minimum cost method, you can say. The basic difference in two is not much difference, I tell you. In northwest corner method, we start from the extreme left. Northwest corner cell, 1 cell, without considering the cost. We only take into consideration the availability and the demand. But here, in least cost method, we take into consideration the minimum cost. And we start assigning as much as possible to the cell with the least unit transportation cost. And if there is a tie, there is no particular rule by which we can do it. The tie we break arbitrarily, and same way we adjust the associated amounts of supply and chain by subtracting the allocated amount. And the way we did in northwest corner method, we cross out the row or column with zero supply or zero demand to indicate that no further assignments can be made to that particular row or column. And in the same manner, if both a row and column are simultaneously satisfied, then exactly one row or column is left uncrossed. Make the obvious allocation and stop. Else cross out one only, either the row or column, and leave a zero supply or demand in the uncrossed out row or column. As I mentioned in northwest corner method also, in such case the solution will be the degenerate solution. And then again we look for the uncrossed out cell with the smallest unit cost and repeat the process until no further allocations are to be made. Let us take this example. It's again 3 by 4 transportation problem. 3, what you can say, the sources, and 4 destination. The costs are also given. C11 is 2, C12 is 3, C13 is 5, C14 is 6, C21 is 2, C22 is 1, C23 is 3, C24 is 5, C31 is 3, C32 is 8, C33 is 4, C34 is 6, and availability at source 1 is 5, at source 2 it is 10, at source 3 it is 15, and similarly the demand at destination 1, 2, 3 and 4 are 12, 8, 4 and 6 respectively. So before we proceed to find out the starting basic feasible solution, let us check whether it's balanced or not. So 5 plus 10 plus 15 it is 30, and 12 plus 8 plus 4 plus 6 it is also 30, so it's a balanced one. So when we use the method of minimum cost or least cost method, we start with the least cost. And what is the least cost? Out of available cost, 1 is the least cost, which appears in the corresponding to second source and second destination. So how much we can allocate here? The demand is 8, and then availability of 10 units. So we cannot allocate more than 8 here. So we allocate 8 in this column, 2 to column, and by doing this, the second column is satisfied, but the availability of 2 units is still there at second source. So we can make 8 here, you see, and this second column gets satisfied. 2 units are still there. Now let us look the next list cost, that is 2, and there is a tie between the 1 cell and 2 cell. We can break it arbitrarily. So let me make this 2 in 2 cell, and by doing this, the second supply point gets satisfied, but still there is a demand of 10 units at destination 1. So this has become like this. So you see the second row is satisfied. Now check the next smallest cost. The next smallest cost, this is 2. Availability of 5 and demand of 10. So we cannot make more than 5 allocation here. So 5 here. So by doing this, the first row gets satisfied, and here is still there's a demand of 5. So the next allocation is like that. 5 has become here. So now let us check which one is the next cost. Next cost is 3 here and here and here. But this is satisfied. Second row also satisfied. So the obvious choice is here. So we can make here the minimum of 5 and 15. So 5 here. So the first column also get satisfied, but is still 10 units available. And by doing so, there is the obvious choice that 4 will go in this cell and 6 will go in the cell for food. So this is 5 here, and this is 4, and this is 6. So finally, there are 6 to the last cell, and BFS is found out to be X11 is 5, X21 is 2, X22 is 8, X31 is 5, X33 is 4, and X34 is 6. And if you are interested, you can multiply the cost with this assignment. 5 into 2, that is 10, 2 into 2, 4, that is 14, plus 8, plus 15, 22 plus 37, and 16, that is 53, plus 36, that is 69. So whatever the unit of the cost, it could be rupees, paisa, whatever it is, or dollar, pound. So that will be your starting transportation cost. So this way, we'll use the least cost method. And the last one comes out to be Vogel's approximation method, which is the best one. I tell you, the least cost method is an improvement over northwest corner method. It gives you always better result. But the next method, that is the third one, Vogel approximation method, which I am going to discuss now, that is one of the best method. And many a times what happens, that when we find out the starting basic feasible solution by Vogel's approximation method, we need not to do any iteration, and that method itself will be the optimal solution. So let us discuss Vogel's approximation method. I tell you, there is a paper of Vogel's itself of 1952, in which he discussed this method elaborately. And this method, based on the fundamental or based on the basic concept of penalty. And that concept is if we don't make allocation in this particular cell, how much penalty we are going to pay or additional amount we are going to pay. So for that purpose, we compute the penalty for each row and each column. But the question arises, how to compute this penalty? So for each row which is under consideration, we always determine a penalty by subtracting the smallest unit cost in that particular row or column from the next higher smallest in the same row. But if the 2 unit costs are same, which are smallest, then penalty will be 0. This is step 1. In step 2, having computing the penalty for each column, we will identify that row or column which has the largest penalty. And if there is a tie, we can consider any of the row or column. Means the ties are broken arbitrarily. As I have done in the case of northwest corner method, and the least cost method, we allocate as much as possible to the cell taking into consideration the least unit cost in that particular row or column. And if again the cost is minimum in that row or column, the ties are broken arbitrarily. And same way, adjust the supply and demand and crossed out the satisfied row or column. And if both row and column are simultaneously satisfied, then if exactly one row or column is left uncrossed, it will be obvious allocation and will stop the algorithm. Else cross out only one either row or column and leave a 0 supply demand in the uncrossed out row or column. But omit that row or column for calculating future penalties. Once a row or column is satisfied, we will not compute that the penalty for that particular row or column which is being satisfied. If all allocations are being made, then we can stop this Vogel's approximation method. Otherwise, go to step 1 and continue till all allocations are being made. So let us take one example. Very simple example, just I took it, in which there are only 2 sources and 3 destinations. Of course, the balanced one. The total supply is 10 plus 15, 25, and the demand at 3 different destinations are 15, 5, and 5. That is again 25, which is balanced. So let us compute the row penalty and write in the extreme right side. Similarly, the column penalty we can compute and put below each column. So for each row, the least value of the cost is 6 and the next higher one is 7. So the row penalty comes out to be 7 minus 6, that is 1. And here if you take the least cost is 15 and the next higher is 78. So the penalty for second row comes out to be 78 minus 15, that is 63. Similarly, the column penalty comes out to be 15 minus 6, that is 9. For second column, it is 80 minus 7, that is 23. And for third one, it is 78 minus 8, that is 70. Now, which one is the maximum penalty out of these 5? That is 73. That is the column corresponding to second column, 73. And corresponding to this column, the least cost is 7. So how much I can make allocation here? Can somebody tell me? Minimum of 5 and 10, that is 5. And by doing so, the second column gets satisfied. We will not compute penalty for further allocations for the second column. But we will compute the penalty for first and second row, first and third column, which comes out to be like this. You see, the second column gets satisfied, so it is crossed. So the second iteration, the first row penalty comes out to be 8 minus 6, that is 2. 78 minus 15, that is 63. And here it comes out to be first column, that is 15 minus 6, that is 9. And 78 minus 8, that is 70. And if you look at it, 70 is the highest penalty and the minimum cost is 8. Interestingly, the availability of 5 units and demand of 5 units. And here I can make maximum 5, and by doing so, what will happen? Both the first row and second column will get satisfied. So if I put it 5 here in this cell 1, 3, it will be a degenerate solution because the obvious choice for the remaining 15 units which is available at source 2 and the demand at first is the cell 2. So there will be only 5, 5 and 15 here. 3 basic variables which are having value 0. So it will be degenerate solution. So to move further to obtain our optimal solution, I have to either consider the first row satisfied or this third column satisfied and put 0 one of the places. So I can put it here 5 in the cell 1 3 and 0 in 2 3 and 15 comes out to be obvious choice, that is at cell 2. So like this, and this is 0 he has taken. Anywhere you can take, either there or here I can take, no problem. So finally the BFS is found to be x1 10, x12 is 5, x13 is 5, x21 is 15. It's a choice of what you can say the degeneracy, because if you remove 0 from here, the choice can, this basic variable takes the value 5, 5 and 15. So the number of basic variable could have been there 2 plus 3 minus 1, that is 4 allocation, but x11 could be 0. So it's a degenerate solution example. I think this another example you can take and try to do your own. I'm not going to solve it, right? So you can do it. So I have discussed what is transportation problem, and as I told you, it has wide application. There is no place or no area where this transportation model cannot be used. Anywhere, because the objective is to minimize the cost, to transport the total goods from the various sources to the various destination. But many times what happens? Suppose we want to optimize or maximize the objective function by these marathons. Then we can multiply all the cost with -1 and then proceed similarly as in the case of minimization, because transportation cost is a minimization. This was the stage 1, where we have find out the starting basic feasible solution with the help of 3 methods. And using these basic feasible solution, either stepping stone method is being used or body method is being used to find out the optimal solution. That method is available in all the optimization book, or if anyone is interested, I will be happy to share the methods with you. But due to lack of time, I am not touching that, how to find out the optimal solution of the problem. So I would like to thank in the end, before I invite the question or query, to the organizers really to conduct the FDP on such an important topic, and in that FDP to give me a chance. So thank you all of you, particularly Professor Rajiv Kumar. I would like to thank to be kind enough to give me this opportunity to talk to you. So thank you very much, and if you have any query or question, I will be happy to answer. Shall I stop sharing first?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request all the participants, if you have any query, then you can write in the chat box, or you can directly ask by unmuting yourself.
Excuse me, sir. Namaskar, sir. सर अभी हमने
Somebody is asking question. I am not able to hear.
यूज इट. नमस्कार सर.
नमस्कार.
अभी हमने 3 मेथड पढ़े हैं, उनमें से वोगल मेथड बेस्ट किस तरीके से है? जैसे आपने बताया कि दिस इज द बेस्ट मेथड.
I think if you might have heard my last sentence when I was describing it. The thing is, when we find out the basic feasible solution by Vogel's approximation method, most of the time either it gives the optimal solution or very less iterations are required to get the optimal solution. While when we find out the starting basic feasible solution by northwest corner method, it requires the maximum number of iterations to find out optimal solution. So least cost method is better than northwest corner method, and Vogel's approximation method is the best one as far as number of iterations are concerned, though the solution will come out to be same.
थैंक यू सर.
Welcome.
Any other query? Sir, hope you can see the chat box. Participants are thanking you for your presentation.
That's all right. Thank you. Thank you to you actually, not to me, to arrange such a wonderful FDP and giving me a chance. I am also thankful to you. Okay? So,
No, sir.
partners should always thank to you, not to me.
Thank you so much, sir. So
Thank
on
you.
behalf of all the organizing team members and on behalf of our coordinator of this faculty development program, I want to thank you, sir, for sparing your precious time and sharing your knowledge and experience with our participant. As I said in the starting of this session that I have introduced your research and your experience with our participant, and I was not wrong that you have a vast knowledge of this field. In the field of statistics, I can say in near about area, you are one of the eminent speaker. This is the 4th time I'm hearing you on different topics, and every time I'll get something new from you, sir. So thank you so much, sir, for always accepting our invitation and always in every workshop, always inspiring us with your knowledgeable words, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So now I request coordinator of this faculty development program for the formal vote of thanks at the end of first day of this program. Over to Professor Rajiv Kumar. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, first of all, to the participants who has patiently listening to the lectures. Because of them only, we can have this FDP. They have registered on the Atal portal and now they have joined. We are thankful to them, to all participants who have joined here and they have attentively attended this FDP. I also thank the Atal Academy for granting us FDP, and today we have 3 sessions apart from the inaugural ceremony which was hosted by the Atal Academy. Very well. Today's lectures were delivered by our distinguished speakers, Professor R.K. Sharma from IIT Delhi. He has very well given application uses of the algebra and cryptography to the engineering part. And thereafter, Professor Renu Chugh, an eminent speaker, has spoken on fractal and chaos on their applications in engineering. And in the last session, Professor C.B. Gupta has very well explained the application of transportation problem to the different diversified fields. I hope that all the participants has taken advantage of this knowledge sharing from such eminent personalities from different areas. You can see they have some number theory part we have covered, cryptography we have covered fractal and chaos, and in the afternoon session we have the operation search part, transportation problem. So I thank from core of my heart to all such distinguished speakers who have spared their valuable time for the participants and for this department also. Thank you very much, sir. And I hope this whole session, the day one, concludes with these very informative things related to advanced mathematics in engineering and technology. And in the coming 4 days, we have distinguished speakers from different institutions across the country and even from abroad who will share their knowledge and experience to our participants. And I request all the participants to be attentive all the time and attend these sessions regularly. Be connected through the WhatsApp group if you want to share any information. And who are not in the WhatsApp group, they kindly share their WhatsApp number. And who are not interested, they can leave because this is the purpose which the Atal Academy has want to train each and every participant with their theme. The theme here is advanced mathematics in engineering and technology. So thanks a lot to each and everyone for this whole day, and I think this is a good, great day for all of us, and to having a breadth of knowledge from different speakers